Well, what's good, M2ers? I'm going to talk about L2 writing in the second language classroom today. Just give you a little overview of the recent trends. With this first slide here, it's called Genesis of a Rabbit Hole, the conferences. And basically, I'm just going to go from point A, where I knew very little about L2 writing, to the present day, which is point B. So at point A, I decided to look at a couple of different conferences just to get a lay of the land for the recent trends in L2 writing. So I started with the TESOL 2016 conference, which just had a massive amount of literature on L2 writing. And then I jumped over to a couple of more niche conferences, the Symposium on Second Language Writing, which is totally all about this subject matter. And then finally, the Computer Assisted Language Instruction Consortium, Calico, conference, which Nike, Kathy, and Steve Thorne recently presented at. So let's go on a little tour of the conferences. So when I opened up the TESOL 2016 program guide and I did kind of a control F for anything related to writing, I got a massive amount of literature. Paige actually created a Google Doc that housed all of the writing abstracts from the TESOL conference, and it spans 41 pages long. So I was overwhelmed at first by all of the different L2 writing abstracts and just all of the content that's out there. But I did come across one abstract that caught my eye, mostly because I was just kind of drowning in all this research and had no place to really start. But I found this abstract and was like, yes, I am definitely having difficulty keeping up with the scholarship in L2 writing. And so I took a look at the first name here, Tony Silva, and decided to do a quick little PDX like library search. And bam, this guy is a known figure in the field, and actually was the dissertation advisor for Paul K. Matsuda, who we've talked about in methods as being one of the foremost scholars on L2 writing. So I went to one of his articles, Silva 2013, Trends in L2 Writing. And what I really liked about this article was it was very brief, 2 pages long, but it had 100 statements that kind of just described what L2 writing is. And essentially it was, L2 writing is blah, 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 blah. And it kind of answered some key questions that I needed to know. Where's the scholarship now? What needs to be addressed in the future? And so what I kind of ascertained from this write-up was there's definitely a lack of research on L2 writing and adult education, and specifically low literacy or pre-literacy adult learners. And historically, L2 writing has focused on the academic context, the EAP context. How can we improve the writing of that specific group of learners? But we've neglected adult education, and specifically adult learners outside of the academic context. And then the second thing that I found, and this really didn't come as a surprise, but computer-mediated communication, CMC, is booming in L2 writing right now. And just how can we integrate these applications into L2 writing to improve the writing? And just the reality of where we are with Web 2.0 features, how can we improve the writing that we do on those platforms like Google Docs and wikis? And then going off of that, collaboration in L2 writing was also clearly displayed in the 100 statements that Silva came up with. And I speak of collaboration in a broad sense, collaboration between different learner populations, collaboration during the co-construction of a text between learners, and just really collaboration in a very broad sense. So now I'm going to take you through a little tour of just these 3 points right here. what did the abstracts and the conferences say about L2 writing in adult education, CMC, and then instances of collaboration. And so I'm just going to start out with adult education and just give you a little quote here from Belcher, who's another prominent figure in L2 writing research, and she is really echoing Tony Silva's point about we still have a long ways to go with pre-literate and low literacy adult language learners, and it remains to be seen what challenges we can meet and what we can contribute to this field. So what do the conferences say? So with this first conference abstract here from the TESOL conference, we have Sarah Lynn presenting on the college and career readiness standards and how can we take those standards and teach academic reading and writing skills that can meet those standards in our lower level ESOL classes. And we also have from the Calico conference using a resource like digital storytelling to motivate ESL writers and hopefully improve their writing skills. And specifically what I like about this one is it takes a story from the student's culture or a personal story and then uses this digital storytelling resource or software and helps improve the writing of these low literacy learners. Okay. And then finally we have from the SSLW conference, specifically since this is such a niche field, SSLW, they're still looking at, okay, what is out there right now scholarship wise, and what are the implications for research and teaching. So just as has been echoed by Silva and by Belcher, there's still a long way to go in this particular niche of the L2 writing literature. So moving on. Oh, here's just a nice little summative list of takeaways. Yes, there's still a large gap in the literature. Right now, there's still a lot of awareness building about the lack of literature. And then as we saw with that storytelling, abstract, digital literacy with L2 writing, there are instances of that out there and it's great. And then specifically because those digital literacy stories were situated within home cultures of these adult learners, writing as a culturally specific practice. So moving on to CMC, so with the arrival of Web 2.0 applications, there's been very little research about how the CMC environment and how these applications impact the processes that are involved in composing and writing on these platforms. And this is just hot off the press 2017. And so looking at some of the conference abstracts regarding CMC and L2 writing, we have from Emily Lepkowski, how can we use certain applications like Aurasma, Vine, Chatterpix, and Twitter, and how can students use these technological tools to publish their student writing? And that's from the TESOL conference. And we also have from Calico, how can we use ePortfolios to enhance the digital literacy skills of students? And finally, from SSLW, how can we use CMC technology applications in order to scaffold writing development in the L2 classroom? And so just some of the takeaways that I saw in the conference abstracts we just looked at regarding CMC, is we can really see CMC as a resource for the language classroom regarding L2 writing. And we also see it as a resource for researchers as they examine classrooms and their L2 writing environment and how these web applications help L2 writers develop their writing skills. And then finally, this third point, we can see CMC as just a clear resource for collaboration. And that kind of brings us into our next and final point. We have collaboration and L2 writing. And with this quote from Storch 2011, we can really see that collaboration can function as a way to create meaning or negotiate meaning and help L2 writers develop their writing skills. So what do the conferences say? So from the TESOL conference, we have an abstract that focused on collaboration and how do you foster a collaborative environment in the multicultural or the cross-cultural classroom, and how do you do that when integrating Web 2.0 technology like Google Apps? And from the Calico conference, we have how do we use Google Docs to improve L2 writing, and how do we create tasks that can scaffold students on their way to creating written products via Google Docs. And then finally, how do we use such strategies as joint construction in a collaborative writing task to impact students' subsequent writing? So the takeaways that we can glean from these conference abstracts are there are varieties of collaboration between learner populations, and there are several research studies that are focused on the peer-to-peer effects and how they contribute to subsequent L2 writing. And then finally, as we saw with all of those studies that focused on Google Docs, the integration of Web 2.0 technology and collaboration together with L2 writing. So moving on. So I have here a quick and dirty rundown on the pedagogic implications and how they relate to collaboration in the L2 writing classroom. And so first up, we have LRE's baby, Storch 2011. And LREs, of course, are language-related episodes, and collaboration is just an excellent opportunity for students to just notice different writing strategies that are employed by their peers during feedback, or just really any incidents in the classroom can be an LRE. And collaboration is just a great way to foster those affordances. And then moving on, we have Lundstrom and Baker, to give is better than to receive, and this comes from the title of their paper. And essentially giving peer feedback in the classroom and collaborating with students as you as students review their peers' writing can be very beneficial to their own writing growth. And then Lee and Kim have context matters, and really this is focusing on learner backgrounds and the reality that not everybody comes to the table excited to collaborate, and we need to keep that consideration in mind when we craft our lesson plans. And Wigglesworth and Storch make the comment that writing is a solitary endeavor traditionally, and so we need to remember that when we collaborate, this is a communicative opportunity. And then finally, instructors need to stay woke, and this comes from a very hot off the press article from Zeng and Warschauer, and this is essentially saying that instructors need to stay on top of the latest trends in technology, because if they are to use these in their classrooms, they're going to need to know how they work. And with technology constantly changing and updating, this is an important skill set that we as instructors need to keep up to date on. And so moving forward, the workshop that I'm going to take you guys through next Tuesday is going to focus on high engagement strategies for L2 writing that promote collaboration, integrate CMC tech, and can be adapted to a variety of contexts. So I hope you are as excited as I am to engage with L2 writing and see how we can take some of these strategies and adapt them to our own classrooms. And here are my references, and I bid you adieu.